Good afternoon, Sunshine Fam. How's everybody doing today? My name is Chloe. For those of you that are new, welcome to my channel. For those of you that have never watched me before, I would really appreciate you hitting that subscribe button and the notification bell so you know when I drop a new video. Hit the like, do the comments, share the videos. I've got about 300 videos on here now, so you're welcome to go back and watch any of my videos, whether it be presidential highlights, whether it be adventures with Chloe, whether it be trip down memory lane, whether it be going all the way back to the beginning with Irish dancing, some of them with me, whether it be blogs, whatever it might be that you're interested in watching, you're more than welcome to do that. And share this with anybody that might be interested. So today I have a hodgepodge of subjects that I'd like to talk about. I've been staying out of the news because I've been so busy with work very I've been exhausted. I'm sure that you can tell that my energy is a little bit drained today. And been very tired lately, because we're coming into our busy season with spring, hopefully around the corner. Apparently we got some snow last night. I look outside and there's no snow on the ground, but temperatures are back into the 40s again. Should be climbing back into the 60s by the end of the week. Welcome to Minnesota, the home of the bipolar weather. So let's start out. You know what? I forgot something. Give me a second, guys. Sorry. Thought I was more organized. Sorry about this. Okay. So in my last recording, or my last video from 2 weeks ago, where I was addressing somebody by the name of Ellie from England about the differences between the government in the United States and the government of England, with the leaders and all that. I had put on there in that video about Nicolae Carpathia's approval rating, and some of the numbers are pretty much the same 2 weeks later. Apparently his numbers went up by 0.2 points this past week. Not sure how that happened, because I'll get into that in a minute. But 2 weeks ago, his approval rating was 38% approving, 56% disapproving, and 6% unsure. Today, it's pretty much the same, except for unsure is 7%. I don't know how that's possible, because the approval and disapproval are the same exact numbers. So if you add those up, 7% would make it 101% people. So I only chose a few states to do the approval and disapproval. So there's still the same 10 states that approve of Carpathia. Idaho, 2 weeks ago, was 26 points. Today, it's 21 points approve. Wyoming was at 22 points. They're now up to 24 points. Montana went from 3 points to 2 points. North Dakota went from 8 points to 2 points, way down. Alabama went from 2 points to 1 point. Oklahoma went from 3 points to 4 points. Tennessee stayed the same at 3 points. Arkansas went from 1 point to 2 points. West Virginia went from 16 to 17, and Utah went from 2 to 1. Now for disapprove, there's obviously many more states that disapprove, but I only chose 6 of them. So 2 weeks ago, DC, which is the city in West Virginia, or Virginia, was at a negative 80 points. Today they're at negative 79, so they went up slightly. Minnesota went from negative 23 to negative 24. Vermont went from negative 40, well, they stayed the same, negative 43. Same as Florida, negative 7. Hawaii stayed the same at negative 38, and Alaska went from negative 10 to negative 9. So they went up a little bit too. I have to ask you people in the United States, what is it going to take for you people that approve of him to see the light and what he is not doing to make America great again? Do you realize that he was not the one that coined that phrase? It was actually Ronald Reagan that first used the phrase, make America great again. But he didn't make it his slogan. The other thing, the other phrase you keep hearing about is woke. So do we all really even know what that word means and where it came from? Well, I'm here to educate you. Woke originated in African American Vernacular English, AAVE, to mean being alert to racial prejudice and social injustice. While it historically signaled awareness of systemic oppression, the term has evolved into an often pejorative political term used by critics to mock excessive political correctness, performative activism, or cancel culture. The key aspects of woke. Original definition being awake or vigilant regarding social injustice, particularly racism. I want to talk a little bit about that too, in hopes that a lot of you people won't get mad at me for what I have to say. As one of my Sunshine fam says, I always tell the truth. I always do my research too. Political shift. Many Americans, 56% in a 2023 USA Today PSOS poll, define it as being educated on social issues, while critics, 56% of Republicans in the same poll, can we please get rid of those stupid titles, use it to mean being oversensitive or performatively progressive. Usage contexts. Used to describe someone focused on social injustice or as a critique of fake woke behavior or brand marketing, sometimes called woke washing. The origin, the concept has roots in the 1920s to encourage Black awareness. Was used in a 1938 song by Lead Belly and gained mainstream prominence via the Black Lives Matter movement. Synonyms and related terms. Enlightened aware, signifying an understanding of systemic issues. Socially conscious, focused on justice and equality. Progressive, advocating for social reform. Pejorative usage, oversensitive, politically correct, performative, or part of the woke police. Usage examples. We need to stay woke regarding changes in voting laws. That brand is only doing this to seem woke. It's just performance activism. Okay, so the first one, there's in parentheses, it says original activist context. In the one I just said, it says critique of corporate social action. And the third one is the company is facing backlash for being too woke in its latest marketing campaign. Pejorative use by critics. So there's your lesson on woke today. And your lesson on where Make America Great Again came from. Wasn't from Carpathia. So there's a few things that I have looked up over the last few days. And it has to do with current events. So there's been a lot of talk, obviously, about this war in Iran. And what started it all. Why we're even involved. So I decided to do some searching of my own, questioning what I've been wondering about. So what I found out about this nuclear weapon that DC seems to think that they had or were in production of, it says Iran possesses the technical knowledge, infrastructure, and material, including 60% enriched uranium, which, if you remember from Back to the Future, that's what they used to make nuclear bombs, to produce nuclear weapons, placing it in a threshold state. While it has not been confirmed to have produced a functional weapon, experts suggest, I wonder who these experts are. They never really name these experts. They just say experts. Do you ever notice that? Iran could achieve a breakout, creating enough weapon-ready uranium for bombs within months. Here's the three main words: if it chooses. So that to me tells me, and all of you, they never had a nuclear weapon. And it sounds to me in this, just this little paragraph, that they weren't even attempting to make a nuclear bomb. I'll get into nuclear bombs in a minute, which I have mentioned in past videos as well. Enrichment capabilities. Iran holds significant stockpiles of 60% enriched uranium and utilizes advanced centrifuges, example IR-6, bringing them close to the 90% enrichment required for weapon-grade material. Weaponization challenges. According to 2026 reports, Iran has not yet finalized a viable, deliverable nuclear weapon design or the necessary explosive detonation systems, despite having accumulated necessary fissile material. Hopefully I'm saying that word right. History and monitoring. While Iran previously had a covert weapons program, the Ahmad Plan, current assessments differ on whether they have resumed full weaponization efforts following the U.S. withdrawal from the 2015 nuclear deal. Restrictions on Iran's nuclear activities have decreased, leading to elevated risks of a breakout. Current status. As of mid-2025, so last year, reports suggest that while Iran has increased enrichment, it has not officially built a functional weapon. Mr. Carpathia, are you listening? J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, are all of you people in D.C. listening to that? So then there's been talk about why we haven't gone and taken Iran, because they were chanting "Death to America" for over 40 years. So I asked that question too. I said, have they been chanting that? And the answer is yes. A new phase of, oh, I'm sorry. This goes into Darfur. Let's see. Did I not save that one? Apparently I did not. Here we go. Must be this one. Okay, so apparently I didn't save the whole thing. So I didn't save the whole thing on my phone here. So I'll just start with where it shows it. The phrase "Death to America" is also used by affiliated radical groups and protesters in Iraq, Yemen, Lebanon, Afghanistan, and Pakistan, often in response to specific U.S. actions. Key locations and context. Iran. The primary source of the chant, popularized by Ayatollah Khomeini following the 1979 revolution and frequently utilized at anti-government and state-sponsored rallies. Middle East and South Asia. The slogan has been used in Lebanon, Yemen, Iraq, and Afghanistan. Specific contexts. Used in various Islamic nations, such as during protests in Pakistan over events like the Charlie Hebdo caricature controversy. I didn't look into that, so I don't know what that's all about. Significance. While often translated literally, the phrase is frequently interpreted by analysts as "down with the USA," representing a political slogan against U.S. foreign policy. I don't know how to pronounce this. Hegemony and interference, rather than a direct threat of violence, although it is utilized as in a radical context. So, another thing that has been brought to everybody's attention is that for the past 40 years, Iran has been killing all of these innocent people over there. I don't see how we are even a part of this. So they're chanting "Death to America" or "Down with the USA." Have they said that they're going to be using any weapons against us? Have they even shot any weapons towards us? If they have, please leave your comments below. I did not look that up. Again, I've been exhausted, so I haven't been doing as much research. So, years ago, there was a TV show on called Seventh Heaven, where they brought to the forefront certain subjects like drug use and human trafficking and gangs and cutting and that kind of thing. But they also brought up something I had never heard of. It's a country in Africa called Darfur. And there's been a genocide there for years and years. Do you ever hear about that in the news? Do you ever hear about the U.S. going and bombing the heck out of Darfur for what they're doing to their people? And I'll get into Venezuela here in a second too, because I want to bring that up as well. So I asked the question, is there still genocide in Darfur? My answer is yes. A new phase of genocide is actively occurring in Darfur, Sudan, beginning in April 2023 and continuing into 2026. The Rapid Support Forces, RSF, and allied Arab militants are systematically targeting non-Arab ethnic groups, particularly the Masalt, Fur, and Zaghawa. Forgive me if I'm mispronouncing those names, with mass killings, sexual violence, and forced displacement. Why don't we send ICE over there? Ongoing campaign. The violence escalated in 2023 in West Darfur, particularly around El Janina, and has continued to spread throughout the region. Systematic targeting. The attacks echo the 2003 to 2005 genocide, which I think is when they mentioned it on Seventh Heaven, with evidence of intentional killing of civilians based on ethnicity. Be thankful we're not part of that. International recognition. U.S. officials and UN investigations have cited hallmarks of genocide and documented genocide in the region, particularly around El Fasher, North Darfur. Atrocities. Reports confirm mass rape, burning of villages, and targeted killings of men, women, and infants by the RSF. This should make all of us upset. They are not in the news. Why? Do we not care about those people? Is it because they're only targeting their own people? Well, so was Iran. So then I started looking up about certain people that have since lost their jobs here. Christine Ohm and her husband. Have you heard the latest about her husband? Cross-dressing and picking up bimbos online. Pam Bondi. And of course, the reassignment of Greg Bavino from Minnesota. So I asked, what is Greg Bavino doing today? Because we know that he went to El Centro in California. So I found this shocking. I don't think this is in the news either. As of March 2026, Greg Bavino, a highly controversial U.S. Border Patrol official who led aggressive multi-city immigration enforcement operations, is retiring. Previously, he was moved from his role as commander-at-large back to his former role as Border Patrol sector chief in El Centro, California, following fatal shootings of U.S. citizens in Minneapolis. I hate the way that they put that. The shootings of U.S. citizens. It makes it sound like there were hundreds of people here that were shot and killed. Not to make light of Alex and Renee Good's murders. But as far as I know, those are the only two people in Minneapolis that were shot and killed. There have been a lot of people that have been injured. So key details regarding Greg Bavino's status. Retirement announcement. According to reports in March 2026, Bavino is retiring at the end of the month. So I guess he's already retired since it's April now. A decision reported shortly after he was removed from his role as CBP commander-at-large. Oh, poor baby, I can't be in charge anymore, so I guess I'll just retire. Grow a pair. Role change. After leading enforcement operations in Chicago, Los Angeles, and Minneapolis, he was sent back to his role as sector chief in El Centro, California in late January 2026. Controversy and criticism. His methods faced severe criticism, with Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker accusing him of damaging the nation, and some federal judges describing his tactics as shocking the conscience. Background. He served as a Border Patrol official for 30 years and became a prominent face of immigration crackdowns. Bavino's departure follows the appointment of Tom Homan as the new lead for immigration enforcement in Minnesota. So let's talk a bit about Venezuela in regards to what's going on in Iran. I've often heard Carpathia say that we went into Iran the same way we did in Venezuela. Really? I recall that we did not fire any weapons. We did not declare war on Venezuela. We simply went in and kidnapped the president and his wife, brought him back to New York, I believe, or Pennsylvania, one of those, somewhere in New England, and they are now being detained. And why did they do that? Well, let's see. They claim that, and I can't recall his name, but the president of Venezuela was sending boats, like small fishing boats, to America with all kinds of drugs, including fentanyl and cocaine and all that stuff. Well, as I have said in my previous recordings, Venezuela was never on the list of countries that supplied drugs to America. The two biggest names are Colombia and Mexico. I don't hear Carpathia going after those countries. Colombia produces the most amount of cocaine. I don't know about fentanyl, but they produce the most amount of cocaine. I think the fentanyl did come out of Venezuela, and then they would ship it to Mexico, and Mexico would bring it over to the U.S. via these cartels. Why aren't we bombing Colombia? Why aren't we bombing Mexico? Has the drug problem stopped in the US since we kidnapped the president of Venezuela? Again, I've been lax on doing my research because I do remember saying that I'm retiring from doing that. These are questions I would like you guys to respond to and put in the comments. I'd like you guys to start doing the research. So getting back to the nuclear weapons thing. Iran had nuclear weapons that they were planning on using against us. That's like Kristi Noem saying that Alex Preddy had the intentions of doing major damage to ICE agents just simply because he had a legal gun on him. We've all seen the videos, folks. He never reached for it. What about Russia? How many weapons, how many nuclear weapons does Russia have? Over 5,500. You don't see us going in and bombing Russia. They've been kind of a threat to us for many, many years. Remember the Bay of Pigs invasion during JFK's time in office? What about America? We have over 5,400 nuclear weapons stored here and in 3 other countries. I know Turkey was one of them. Germany, I want to say, was another. And Denmark? I don't remember. I know I've mentioned it in one of my past videos in the last couple months. Why is it okay for Russia and America to hold the most amount of nuclear weapons in the world, combined over 10,000 nuclear weapons? And yet Iran was a threat? Does that make any sense to any of you? Doesn't make sense to me. And why are we not focused on Korea? Although I haven't heard in recent years about Kim Jong-un firing missiles towards our west coast from Korea. A man who's totally whacked in his head thinking that the Korean War, that is, I think it was his grandfather or his father, signed the armistice agreement, and then he looked at it and said, oh no, that's not legal, so we're still at war. First of all, I don't hear about a Korean War going on right now. But he's actually fired missiles towards the US. Long-range missiles. It hasn't gotten to us, obviously, but he's testing them. Why aren't we going after him? So why is it that Iran is such a threat? If Carpathia really has wiped out the civilization of Iran, and he seems to be proud of that, and yet he calls himself a Christian. We'll get into that one too. If we've wiped him out, and if his goal was to change the regime, I mean, there's so many questions about this Iran war that I just don't understand. It sounds like, I'll get back to that in a second, but it sounds like Israel wanted to go after Iran because they were funding the Hamas. Now, there's a stand-up comedian by the name of Sammy Obed, I think his name is, Obed. He sounds like he's from Lebanon or he might be Palestinian or something, and he's always talking against Israel. Maybe he needs to go back and look at what happened on October 7th, a couple years ago. Those people were celebrating a religious holiday when they had a Pearl Harbor type attack on them from the Hamas, from a tiny little strip of land in Gaza. They didn't ask for that. They were not threatening Gaza or the Hamas or Palestine or Lebanon or any of those countries. So I do not understand why Sammy is against Israel. They're just protecting themselves. But going back to Iran, it sounds like, when I was doing my research right around the time I was going back to work, that Israel was going to attack Iran, but they needed help. So they asked for the U.S. to help them out, which we gladly stepped in. But Carpathia is making it sound like we were going after them. You don't hear much talk about Israel's involvement at all. Not as much as the U.S. And this whole Strait of Hormuz, it's open, it's closed, it's open, it's closed. Whatever. We had no right to go to Iran. Carpathia is not taking responsibility for the deaths of all those young children at that school. And yet people are saying, well, it's their fault for building a school next to a nuclear weapons place. Have any of us even been over there? Maybe there was a weapons storage area next to the school. Maybe they were stupid to put a school next to it. That doesn't give us just cause to bomb a school. You also notice that Carpathia doesn't take responsibility for his own actions. He always blames everybody else. Something else that Sammy brought up in his stand-up comedy act that I watched last night from April 16th, or it was uploaded April 16th, was that there's all these scientists from California that have gone missing or have been killed. And it has something to do with Argentina. And their specialty, their scientific specialty, was jet propulsion or something like that. If you want to watch that video, the thumbnail is Trump versus the Pope. So he does talk about that, which I'm going to get into here in a minute too. I don't know much about that. I just heard about it last night, but apparently that's been going on for the last couple of years, that these scientists have gone missing. Since like 2024 or 2023 maybe? I looked it up, I didn't save it, but you don't hear about that on the news. And then there was something about these arson fires that were happening at like toilet paper plants or something, paper plants. I can't think of the name of the company, Kelly Clark or something like that. That is the company that makes paper products and then sells it to all these other companies or whatever. In Lilly and that type of thing. Apparently there's been arsons happening in these warehouses in California. A lot of weird things going on in California. Maybe it's a good thing I didn't move out to San Diego. So you guys can look into that as well, if you haven't heard of that. I know I hadn't. But then again, I don't hawk all over the news like many people do. We need to turn off the news. I've been saying this for years. Turn off the news and do your own research. Because the news is going to be biased to whatever they believe in. And they're not going to tell you the truth. This whole fake news thing. Don't even get me started on that. So, now let's switch the focus to Carpathia versus the Pope. I'm sure you have all seen the image, which has now been taken down, but it's all over the internet. He portrayed himself as Jesus, and then when he's questioned about it, he goes, "Oh no, I was portraying a doctor." Have you looked at that image? For those of you who haven't seen it, which would surprise me if you haven't, let me show you. Give me just a second. That's the image. Have you ever seen a doctor look like that? Dressed like that? Having light coming out of their hands? Now, a lot of people say that the man on the bed that Carpathia has his hand on is Epstein. I don't see the resemblance there, but when Jon Stewart was talking about it and he put up a split screen of his face with this image, it's uncanny how much that man looks like Jon Stewart, actually. I don't get it. Carpathia is the furthest thing from Jesus that you could ever get. Thankfully, he took it down, which a lot of the news media has been saying that's very, very rare for him to take down an image, even if it is AI, that he's put up, or any kind of post on Truth Social. Truth? Really? You want to talk about fake news? Like I said back in January, beginning of February, those people from Washington, D.C., other than J.D. Vance, were not here during that uprising here in the Twin Cities. And J.D. Vance did not walk our streets. He got off the plane, went to, I think, the Whipple building, had a little powwow with our leaders, got back in his limo, went back to the airport, and went back to Washington, D.C. He didn't walk our streets. He didn't see how ICE was conducting their raids. Why do you think we were so upset? Taking a man that they weren't even after out of his house in 7-degree weather in nothing but shorts and flip-flops? Breaking down the guy's door illegally, and yet ICE agents are not being held accountable. Except, I did hear on the news here in the Twin Cities that one ICE agent is being charged. It's not, unfortunately, Jonathan Ross. It is a man that back in February, there were these people, there was this car that was traveling on the road, on the highway, and an ICE agent pulled alongside them on the shoulder illegally, because apparently they were going too slow for him. And he went past them, and then got back in the shoulder, and got alongside them, and pulled his gun out and threatened them from his car with a gun. They can't find this guy. But there is an APB out for him. As far as I know, he is the first ICE agent that has been charged with a crime. Although I have seen other videos where police have arrested ICE ICE agents that were not on the job for like speeding or illegal placement of license plates or expired plate tabs or something like that, some minor infraction, but they were arrested for it. And the guys are getting out of the vehicles and they're like, "Do you realize I'm ICE?" And they're like, and the police are like, "I don't care. You're breaking the law. I'm taking you into custody." And they handcuff them. So I guess in that respect, they are being charged, but not with their raids. It has to do with like traffic violations or something. But this is the first guy that I've heard of that is being held accountable for his actions, and they're trying to find him. I looked on the news this morning. It doesn't sound like they found him yet. And speaking of trying to find people, whatever happened to Nancy Guthrie? She's still missing. And she's also missing from the news. People have moved on because of Iran. Maybe we need to shine the spotlight on her again. Where is she? What happened to her? Why can't anybody find her? Boy, I almost misspoke there. Why can't nobody? Why can't anybody find her? So while this wasn't exactly a rant, I did want to bring these issues up to kind of shine a bright, white hot spotlight on some of these news stories and the truth behind them that you're not hearing on the news. People, please stop watching the news and do your own research. You know, it goes back to, see, I was never political before all this stuff happened here in the Twin Cities in January. Never. I mean, if none of that stuff would have happened and somebody would have come up to me today and asked me who Pam Bondi or Carolyn Levitt or Kristi Noem is, I'd be like, I have no idea. I would think maybe they're actors, actresses, singers, I don't know. Now I know who they are. 2 of them are out. Sounds like Carolyn Levitt might be the next one on the chopping block. We'll see. But I was never political. I don't affiliate with any political party. I don't call myself a Republican, a Democrat, an independent, a left wing, a right wing, a red state, a blue state. Those things, you know, this whole crap about left wing and right wing and red state or blue state, that is a recent development about red states and blue states. I looked that up a couple months ago, or a few weeks ago. Let's see, red states versus blue states. Let's see. Okay, so according to Wikipedia, which I have been told you can't always trust this either, starting with the 2000 United States presidential election, the terms red state and blue state have referred to U.S. states whose voters vote predominantly for one party, the Republican Party in red states and the Democratic Party in blue states, in presidential and other statewide elections. 2000, 26 years ago. By contrast, states where the predominant vote fluctuates between Democratic and Republican candidates are known as swing states or purple states. It's the first I've heard of that. Examining patterns within states reveals that the reversal of the two parties' geographical bases has happened at the state level, but it is more complicated locally, with urban-rural divides associated with many of the largest changes. And then it shows a map here of the different states. Let that focus in a little bit. So now find your state on there. And what state are you? What color are you? Does it matter? Apparently Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania are purple states. Minnesota's a blue state. Let's see. Blue states would be Washington, Oregon, California, Nevada, New Mexico. Is it Wyoming? There's 4 states in the middle that I keep getting mixed up. I think that's Wyoming. Hawaii, Illinois, Virginia, a bunch of states in New England. Most of New England is blue. The rest of the states are red. Some of them are lighter red than others, and some of them are lighter blue than others. There's only 3 states that are considered swing states, which are Washington, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. And for Carpathia to say that he won by a landslide, not true. I looked that up too. He won, yes, but not by a landslide. There was only a difference of, I think, around 1,000 votes or something like that, or 1,000 points or something. I don't know. Not exactly a landslide when you consider how many people are in the United States. I didn't vote for either one of them. I voted for Ron DeSantis. A lot of people are saying that he's not a great guy either. Well, what politician is? Who among us is really great anyhow? Besides Jesus and God. The real Jesus. Not this fake one. So as far as myself goes, let's get off of the topic of current events for a while. As far as myself goes, I've been a bit down lately because this time of year is very hard for me. When I was laid up for 3 months, from December to March, I didn't really eat much, but I snacked. I probably didn't even intake the minimum amount required calories per day, but I wasn't out exercising either. Towards the time that it got to be me going back to work, then I would walk. If it was too cold out, I would walk in my building. I live in an apartment complex that has 3 floors, so I would walk the entire floor and then go down a set of stairs, walk the 2nd floor, go down another set of stairs, walk the 3rd floor, or the 1st floor, and then walk back up the 3 floors and then come back to my apartment. And then when it started getting nice, I would walk around the neighborhood, and then I expanded that. So there's like a street behind my apartment that I walked down in a big circle, and then I walked to the next street over and walked that way, and then I realized that that was like a mile when I walked to the 2nd street. So I did that a few times just to get my feet and my body used to standing and being on a hard surface again. Didn't really help much because my body is still aching from being back at work. I try to pace myself, but I have the mentality that when I have a lot of people in line, I feel like I have to go faster because people do tend to get irritated when they're waiting in line too long. And a lot of people comment that I am super fast with scanning, which I am. Not to toot my own horn, but I am a lot faster than some of my coworkers. A lot of people think that I should work at Aldi. I've looked up what their requirements are, and they do time you at Aldi as to how, it's like you have a quota that you're supposed to scan so many items per minute or per hour at Aldi, and if you can't make that, then you get fired. I don't need another Wells Fargo thing. Thank you very much. So even though I'm fast, I don't like being under pressure like that. I have enough stress in my life right now. So I haven't been doing my physical therapy as much as I should be doing it because I feel like with work, I am using my arm a lot more, but I'm not like moving my arm up or down over to the side or whatever. Not doing those exercises. I'm basically keeping my arm down for the most part, which isn't helping the muscle up here. The bone is completely healed, but The muscle is what hurts. So when I go to physical therapy, now every other week I only have one more appointment. And then I go see my doctor. But there's a lot of heavy stuff that we have at my job. And I use my right arm a lot. So even my right arm is starting to get tired because that muscle's not used to lifting a lot of heavy stuff. I am right-handed, which does help because the injury happened on my left arm. But, you know, I've become a recluse because for me, people are not safe. There is a small, less than handful of people that I trust in my life. Because I have been burned so much in my life. By family members, by 2 ex-spouses, ex-husbands, that I don't trust a lot of people. I've had people telling me, because I suffer from depression, that they say, oh, you should go see a therapist, you should take vitamin D, you should sit in front of a light wall, you should... One of my sisters told me one time, a few years ago, that I should check myself into a hospital and take medication. Been there, done that. Been in lockup. I'm not that crazy. Yes, I have tried committing suicide a few times. Things you don't know about me. Obviously didn't work because I'm sitting here talking to you. Doesn't mean that I don't still think about it occasionally, but I keep it to myself because I feel if I say something, somebody's going to commit me. I don't need to go back to the hospital and be force-fed medication and be in the hospital for 2 weeks, forced to be on their schedule. Don't need that again. So, yes, I suffer from depression. I've had not an easy life, but it hasn't been all bad. But I won't get into that because I'm starting to get emotional here. I'll end this on kind of a light note. The other night, I was watching Luke Beasley, and there's a video that he had put up, which is hysterical. And let me turn this down so I don't turn it on. Let me tell you, the title of this video is It Leaked. They deleted this disturbing Trump footage. And it's Luke Beasley, and it was uploaded on April 17th of this year. This video is so funny, about halfway through. I won't ruin it for you, but go check that video out of Luke Beasley's. It is hysterical. And if you don't want to watch the whole thing, it's like a portion of his full show, because he does like a full show, like an hour or more longer videos where he talks about all kinds of different subjects like I'm doing to you. But then he takes different segments of it and makes that its own video so that people can just watch that portion of it. And so in this segment from his full show, the Luke Beasley show, it talks about the image of Carpathia being Jesus and his spiritual advisor, or whoever she is. Hysterical as all get out. So if you don't want to watch the whole thing, I think it's like 17 to 20 minutes long. If you don't want to watch the whole thing, go look at it and then scroll over to about halfway through the video. I know the area that's funnier is like past that, but if you start at about the halfway point in the video and watch it to the end, you are going to be dying of laughter on the floor. It's so funny. So go watch that. But seriously, stay off the news. Do your own research. Don't rely on us YouTubers. Make your own videos, you know. you know. Ellie never did get back to me, by the way, so maybe Ellie was a bot. I don't know. But sure didn't sound like it. I don't think bots can have a YouTube channel. And she didn't have any content on her channel. So Ellie's the one that was from England that was saying that, you know, America is an embarrassment. And I did a response video to that. But she definitely opened my eyes to the differences and many similarities between the government in the UK and the government in the US. A lot of similarities there. We just call our governments two different things. They have a monarchy, we have a democracy. They have parliament, we have Congress. But it's basically the same rules. So she never got back to me. And I gave her plenty of opportunities to do so, because I asked her a lot of questions in that video, my last video. So I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go now. It's been getting cold again. It's only supposed to be 48 degrees today, but I do need to go out and get some groceries, because my cupboards and refrigerator are bare. And I really hate going out in this cold weather. That's why I'm dressed like this again, because it's really cold out. But thanks for joining me today. Again, if you are new, please hit that subscribe button. I appreciate the new subscribers. Matter of fact, do another little shout out here to the newest ones that I have on my channel. Let's see here. Where is it that I can go and I think it's notifications. I do once in a while get notifications of new subscribers. So there was a new subscriber from 8 days ago by the name of John Hilborn. So John, welcome. John Hilborn, welcome to you. All my Sunshine fam, please welcome John Hilborn. I think that's the only one that I have been notified of as a new subscriber. Let's see. Yeah, I don't see any other ones. I see this Ellie Elizabeth in here replying to all that. But yeah, so John Hilborn, welcome to you. I'm not going to charge you. Don't worry. You know, a lot of YouTubers are money hungry and they charge their subscribers to get a shout out. I don't do that. I only have 318 subscribers, so, or what I call Sunshine fam. So I am nowhere near what is required for people to donate. I would never ask anybody for their hard-earned money. I'm sure you guys have bills just like I do. And I don't feel it's right for me to take money from other people. If I did have over 1,000 subscribers and I had the ability to have the donate button available, if you so chose to donate to me or do a super chat or whatever, I don't really do live streams that much. But if you chose to donate, I would appreciate you for that, but I don't expect it, just so you all know that. So at this point, I'm going to go, because I got to upload this video. While I'm uploading it, I'm going to go to the grocery store in the freezing cold weather. But seriously, any of these stories that I talked about today that I only touched on, if you guys can maybe do some research and put your comments down below and let me know what you have found out about these things, like these scientists going missing over the last several years, these warehouse fires in these paper warehouses or whatever, toilet paper or whatever, how these scientists are connected with Argentina. I think that's how I understood it. what you think of Luke Beasley. He is really, I was thinking he was like in his 30s. He's freaking 23 years old. I have never seen somebody of his age with so much intelligence. I mean, he knows stuff that I don't know. So you think I do research? Not the kind of research that Luke Beasley does. So definitely check him out. Jon Stewart obviously does research, or he has people do research and then he reports on it. But tell me what you think of that image of Carpathia. Who you think it is that's on the bed? Is it Jon Stewart? Is it just some random guy they chose? Or was it Epstein? I don't know. But for him to say, that it was for the Red Cross, nowhere in that picture does it show a Red Cross. Even the nurse isn't dressed in a Red Cross thing. One woman looks like she's praying to him. Again, left behind. By the way, have you guys listened or read the book of Left Behind, the first one, to compare how close everything is with who I call Carpathia to the character in the book and why I call him that? I had one person on one of my videos say, "Don't trash Trump, I'm not going to listen to you anymore." Fine, then don't. I don't care. I'm not here to win popularity votes. I'm just here. This is a hobby for me, you guys. I don't make any money off of this. This is just something I like to do on the side, and I like to report things. Like I said, I was never political. When I was in elementary school, we'd have these tests on current events. I never passed one of them because I didn't care about the news. I never really have cared about the news until recently. And it gets to the point where you get so bombarded with it that it affects us mentally, and we get, we just get mad at each other for no reason because we listen to the news and we're getting mad at what everybody else is doing. It's kind of like I think I put this in one of my videos too. There was a video that was put out by independent journalists after 9/11, and it's called 7 Days in September. That's also here on YouTube that you can watch. And in the middle of that, they had, after a few days or whatever, there was this major blow up at Union Square, believe it or not. Some people were writing, they had chalk there, and so people were writing their messages on the sidewalk or whatever. And one person wrote, "The American flag propagates or instigates propaganda," or something like that. And all of a sudden, I don't know what happened to the woman. They were filming the woman writing it, and then that person disappeared out of the frame. I don't know if she was still there and they just weren't filming her or whatever, just blending in. But there was this major fight between all these people because of all the tensions of everything that had happened on 9/11. And one side is fighting with the other, and this one girl comes in, and this older guy is there screaming that he had been pulling body parts out, the first night or whatever, that he was a union worker. And she's like, "Well, why are we screaming at each other?" He's like, I don't know how to process all this. And I think that's where we're at now. We are turning against each other. We need to stop doing that. The Democrats are against the Republicans, and that's why I said take titles out of it. Why can't we just be human beings? Jesus said we are to love one another as God loved us. And now Carpathia is against the Pope because he's preaching peace. He's not saying anything against Carpathia. He's not trying to start a fight with him. In fact, let's bring up the fact that the Pope is from Chicago, Illinois, a state in the United States, and Carpathia is against him because he doesn't like him. You don't like Carpathia, all of a sudden you're his enemy. Well, guess what? He's got a lot of enemies. So get over yourself, Carpathia. and your cabinet. Marco Rubio, J.D. Vance, Carolyn Levitt. She's due to have her baby anytime soon. Is it really your husband's baby? Ask yourself that. Do you ever notice that when she's asked a serious question, she laughs about it, and then she attacks the press just the same way that Carpathia does? She is so loyal to him. I mean, so was Pam Bondi and so was Kristi Noem, but they made mistakes and they got axed, so. There is a huge blackbird on my balcony. I put bird seed out for the little birds, and this blackbird comes. I've got like this cage that has what I call bird cakes in it, and this blackbird takes up most of the cage in there. So, I know I've been all over the place today. All right, I'm going to shut up now. I really need to stay on task and say, okay, every time that I say I'm going to let you go, I'm going to let you go instead of going on for about another 5 minutes. So you guys, thank you for joining me today. Leave your comments below. Subscribe, like, share, hit the notification bell. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Have a sunny day.